Well, hey folks, welcome back to the channel. I hope y'all are having a great day. Thanks for checking back in. If this is your first time at the channel, please be sure to consider hitting that subscribe button. I've got a lot of other car care and DIY repair videos on the channel that you guys may find useful. So what we're doing on the channel today, what I'm working on my GMC Envoy today to do are replace my upper control arms as well as stuffing some new brake pads on the front. But let me show you guys why I'm actually changing these upper control arms. So if you look here, looking closely, let's see if I can get you in a little bit closer there. So here is the mounting bolt for the upper control arm, and you can actually see that bushing has worn out to the point where that bolt looks like it is backed out. So, you know, these upper control arms on the Envoy here, they've got about 295,000 miles on them. These are the original upper control arms for my car. So it is about time to change these things out. So what I'm using, I'll show you the parts that I'm using here in just a second, but I've got some Napa, what are they? Napa Premium control arms for the car. So I'll go through that, and then I'll show you what I had to do to prep the driver's side, because the passenger side is a little bit easier. I'll show you what I had to do to prep the driver's side to get this control arm out. So let's get started. Alright, so here are the control arms that I'm going to be putting on my car. These are Napa premium grade control arms, and you can see the part numbers right here, 2605936 and then 5937, left side, right side. And then, so these things come with obviously the upper control arm themselves that already come with the bushings installed. Now, when I was thinking about doing these control arms, I was thinking about just buying the bushings and making a video on how to press out these bushings by themselves to reuse the older control arms. But, you know, in the interest of time and price, I just went ahead and bought the complete upper control arm assembly with the bushings already installed. And then this kit, this packaging also comes with a new pinch bolt for the upper control arm. Alright, so to get the upper control arms out of the car, it is pretty straightforward. You have this pinch bolt here in the front, and then you have one bolt in the rear, and then another bolt right in the front. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one undone, and then we'll take off the two mounting bolts to actually get the control arm out. So as I mentioned, this is the driver's side, and the driver's side is a little bit more difficult because the brilliant engineers at GM, you know, put the body on the frame after they got the suspension put together, apparently. And what happened is this frame piece right here, I'm sorry, not the frame, the sheet metal from the body, there is kind of a 90-degree lip right there that if you try to remove the bolt, you know, to pull the bolt out towards the front of the car, it'll hit this frame, I'm sorry, it'll hit the sheet metal. So what you have to do see if I can get you guys down in here a little bit, get a somewhat decent shot. So what you have to do is take a Dremel or some type of rotary, you know, rotozip type tool, and just cut out a basically like a half moon shape or a half circle section of this piece of sheet metal there, just enough so this bolt can slide out to the front. Alright, so once you've got the spindle out of the upper control arm, and then you've got your ABS cable out of the clip here, what you want to do is take a 21mm wrench. Now, I went ahead and bought a ratcheting wrench just because I feel like this is going to make the job a lot quicker, a lot easier. And just put that right on that front bolt, and I've got just an extra 3/4 inch box wrench just to give me some extra leverage to get this bolt loose. Once this bolt is loose, let's go ahead and take it out. Alright, now that I've got both bolts out, I went ahead and pulled the front bolt completely out. That way I can kind of maneuver the control arm in place and just kind of work it right out of the spot. And there it is. Alright, so I've got the new control arm, I've got the clip for the ABS sensor already attached, and we're just going to do the exact opposite to put this thing back in. Alright, now you can go ahead and hook your spindle back up. Don't forget your ABS cable. Alright guys, so we're over here on the driver's side now, and I've already taken the pinch bolt out of the control arm, and I've already popped the spindle and the upper ball joint out of the control arm. Also, I've already taken the rear bolt out. Again, that was just simply a 21mm box-in wrench, and I've got a ratcheting wrench that's somewhat helpful until you get out, you know, several threads out, and then you have to flip over to the box end. Now, if you remember earlier, I was talking about this bolt on the front that I had to cut out the piece of sheet metal on. So that's what I'm going to work on now, and I hope I cut out enough. Alright, so now that I've backed this bolt out as far as I can go, I'm just going to switch over to my channel locks to go ahead and back it out the rest of the way. Alright guys, so here is the driver's side. And again, just a quick comparison. You know, as you can see, the old bushing there is just shot. It's pushed all the way out. You know, the new one on top there is looking like it's supposed to be. So I'm going to go ahead and get this new guy put back in. Again, don't forget to switch over your ABS clamp on the underside of this control arm, and then we'll be ready to go. Guys, so I've got both bolts on the driver's side upper control arm. Now, watching those other videos on YouTube about how to change out these upper control arms were true. The driver's side upper control arm is a pain in the butt to do, and you know, I thought I had ground out enough of that sheet metal to allow that bolt to pass through, but I didn't, so I had to go in and grind a little bit more out. Let me see if I can get you guys in a little bit closer here. So there is the ground out section of sheet metal that I had to remove to get that bolt in. And then a little trick here is, you know, just use your crescent wrench to go ahead and get that started and get the threads going. And then once you have enough of the actual head of the bolt exposed, then you can go ahead and use your box end wrench to snug it up a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get these things snugged up, and also while I'm in here, I'm redoing my brakes, or I'm putting new pads on the front, and I'm going to get those done, and then everything just kind of snugged up a little bit, put the wheels back on, lower the car down, and then we'll tighten those bolts on the upper control arms. Guys, I just wanted to show you real quickly here in the service manual. Again, this is for my 2004 GMC Envoy. Flipping over to the suspension section for the upper control arm, it actually says in the service manual that you gently pry out the inner fender body panels to access the forward-facing bolt. So instead of prying at the fender body panel, I just went ahead and cut out some of that material with the rotozip or the Dremel tool. Now to install these, it says install the upper control arm mounting bolts, tighten the upper control arm mounting bolts to 111 foot-pounds, install the battery tray if you remove it. Now I have seen on YouTube, you know, several videos that says you need to put the tires back on and then put the weight of the vehicle back on the control arms. You know, make sure the suspension is kind of bodied out or bottomed out before you tighten the bolts. But in the service manual here, it you know, doesn't make any mention of putting the wheels back on before and lowering the car before you tighten the bolts. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and tighten the upper control arm mounting bolts to 111 foot-pounds. Now, if you remember, there's not really much room in that space to get a torque wrench. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that 21mm box end wrench on with an extra box end wrench as an extension, and I've got a good feel for about 100 110 foot-pounds, because that's almost, or actually just a little bit more than the torque that you're supposed to torque the lug nuts to. So I've got a pretty good feel for that. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright guys, so I've got these upper control arm bolts torqued down to about 110 foot-pounds, give or take 5 pounds or so. So that's all for the day. I'm going to go ahead and get the tires put back on, both sides, get the car lowered back down, take it out for a test drive and see how everything shakes out. I think these new upper control arms are really going to help with the steering. I didn't mention before, but when I was driving down the highway, I can't remember at which speed it was, but at certain speeds, you know, I'd kind of feel a vibration in the steering wheel, almost like it was metal on metal. And I'm fairly confident that it was those bushings in the upper control arm. So guys, I hope this video has been helpful to you. Be sure to leave a comment down in the comment section below. How have you guys changed your upper control arms? Did you have problems with that bolt, with that sheet metal like I did? Let me know. I'm interested to hear what you guys did. As always, thank you guys for checking out the video. If you hadn't done so already, please consider hitting that subscribe button and be sure to leave a thumbs up if this video was helpful to you. Guys, thanks again, and I'll see you on the next one.